Howdy guys, this is Regina Zavala. I'm super happy to be presenting in this fabulous conference. I'm super humbled to be sharing with you some of the things that I've been doing through the last 3 years. I'm a former student and faculty of Universidad Pedagógica Nacional, so I feel like, wow, you know? So thank you for tuning on with us and hope you enjoy this fabulous, as I said already, online conference. Today I'm going to be sharing some alternatives, some reflections, okay, towards teaching pronunciation. As many of you know, and we as language teachers know, teaching pronunciation is such a goal for both for teachers and for students. For students especially, number one, because of their image, right? A good accent calls the attention of people, and even in terms of proficiency, it also tells about the ability of students to achieve this native-like accent. Number two, it has to do with their programs, their careers, their professions, and each profession might have different demands, right? And the third one, academically, we need to be ready to have an intelligible accent. We have to be ready to teach our students the best alternatives according to their needs. So let's get started with this. Okay, so what's the problem over here? Honduran Spanish and English have many graphemes in common, but phonemes behind this can vary significantly. I suggest in this presentation that the more teachers know about these differences, the better techniques and activities they can create to help students achieve a more intelligible accent. So over here, I am trying to focus on our own type of Spanish, Honduran Spanish. What are those graphemes in question? We're going to be talking about B, V, S, Z, J, and Y. And I'm also adding double L of Spanish. And we will see very soon why. Now, on your screen, you have a Venn diagram in which I have divided the independent phonemes of English and independent phonemes of Honduran Spanish. When it comes to B, we have one single phoneme, independent phoneme in English, B. And the same for V, which is V. Okay? The vibration and the way we articulate our lips are going to make a huge difference, an important difference between these two, while in Honduran Spanish and in all Spanishes of the world, actually, the only phoneme we have, the only independent phoneme we have is B, okay? But what happens over here? As you can see on the screen, there are some allophones in free variation, which are B, V, and B. B, the last one, it's a bilabial fricative. What does it tell us? That if you touch a little bit your lips, guys, you're gonna feel whenever we do B, B, we slightly move our lips forwards, you know? It's not a bilabial. We're not folding completely our lips. We're gonna see it very soon. I have a video for you. Let's continue. When it comes to letter S in English, we're gonna find 4 different sounds. The major allophone is gonna be sa, but we can also find that letter S sounds like za, sha, and ja. All right? While in Spanish, especially in Honduran Spanish, we're gonna find that letter S or this and has the sound of sa, ha, or it's new. What does it mean? That us as native speakers of Honduran Spanish, we don't realize that actually we tend to do this sound, ha. Many of you guys might be thinking maybe this is only a thing for Jampedranos, but let me tell you, no. This is a phenomenon that is found all around Honduras. Maybe the degree of occurrence may vary from one area to the other, but let me tell you, yes, we Hondurans tend to pronounce letter S as sa, ha, or no, okay? So what happens with English? In English, there's a clear distinction with letter Z, which sounds is za. While in Honduran Spanish, as many of you know, and all of us know actually, as all of us know, letter Z, the letter Z doesn't have a sound. It shares the same sound with letter S and with letter C in certain circumstances. Later on, for English, we have letter J, which sounds like J, J. This is a palatal sound. It means that our tongue, the tip of our tongue, is touching certain part of the hard palate. So if you move your tongue right now, guys, and you touch your palate, you know, like near your teeth, we have the hard palate, and the backward you go, the softer it becomes, right? When we are producing ja, ja, our tongue is having lots of contact with our hard palate, okay? Later on, in Spanish, we have letters Y and LL that share at a certain point a similar sound as ja, okay? And we're gonna find that there are even almost 4 allophones in free variation for these 2 graphemes. What does it mean? That in Spanish, Y and LL share the same sounds, and it's not that they have an independent sound each. This is very curious because historically, I know many of you call the Y either Y or Y. And it is called Y because this letter was exactly the same both Latin and Greek had as what we know today as iota. Alright? That's why Y, iota, is exactly the same sound. LL is a letter of modern and a sound of modern Spanish. So in the past, people would make the difference between Y, knowing that whatever word that was written with this letter, it was gonna sound like ya, yo, right? So it'll be yo, right? And whatever word that was written with LL would be ja, llanta, llave. But nowadays, if you pay attention, guys, this doesn't really happen. We we vary or alternate either sound with any grapheme. So if I write a word like llavero right now, some of you might say llavero, some of you might say llavero, some of you might say llavero, you know? So that's the point over here, that in Honduran Spanish, if you see those black phonemes, okay, we have b, s, ha, ya, are the only independent phonemes that are easily to identify, while those allophones in free variation can appear when we less expect it. When it comes to English, it's simpler, because even though we see b, v, sa, za, sha, ja, za, ja, ya, okay? They are, all of them, or most of them, are independent phonemes, excepting the ones I showed you on letter S, okay? So what does it mean? That for English, we can expect to find where these independent phonemes are. We can find rules that explain us where we are going to find these ones. However, in Honduran Spanish and most types of Spanish, we won't find a specific rule that says in this moment or in this particular environment or after this particular sound, one of these allophones is going to occur. So that's why our students and us as English teachers, as English users, we need to make sure when we use one or the other. Let's move on. Now on your screen you can see a chart with the phonemic inventory of Spanish. As I was telling you, worldwide or Spanishes of the world have a set of segments that are already attested, okay, in all types of Spanish. But what we are paying attention here today are those allophones that are proper of Honduran Spanish. So now you can see that I already circled in red those sounds that we are studying today. We have a voiced bilabial plosive B. We have a alveolar voiceless fricative S. And we have a approximant or glide ya. But what's going on with them? As I already explained you, there are some other allophones, okay, disguised behind these three attested segments. So we're gonna see in green all the possibilities we have as Spanish speakers. Some of these allophones are also found in other types of Spanishes or even in other Romance languages. But pay attention how varied it can be. And one important thing that I want to highlight is that the fact that these segments occur in free variation makes them unpredictable. And let me tell you that for Spanish learners, they even say, there are some testimonies from people who have learned Spanish, and they say, like, I don't really know why native speakers change it all the time. Whenever I try to learn my LL and my Y, I don't really know what they mean. So this is very peculiar, because it seems like foreign speakers see what we as native speakers don't see. But again, this is completely natural. Moving on, now I have over here on the screen an English phonemic inventory, okay? And we're gonna see that all the sounds that we are discussing today, yes, they are attested sounds. We have B, V, S, Z, J, Sh, Z, and Ya. So this is an advantage for learners because once we have these segments, we have to make sure that we allow our students to get acquainted with them, to get familiarized with them, so they start adding them to their inner phonological inventory. That'll be the first part. The second part is that our students should know that even though we can find certain allophones or segments, that are similar, it doesn't mean they represent the same. They are represented, by the same grapheme, right? It doesn't mean that they're going to occur exactly in the same environments, and that's why we have to make sure we are teaching our students through different perspectives. It can be from using their listening skills. It can be their articulatory skills, creating awareness based on orthography, listening, and articulatory properties. With this slides that I already shared with you, we have covered mostly let's say the theoretical part of this presentation. Maybe there were like too many segments, too many symbols to deal with, but always bear in mind that we are dealing with the grapheme. Okay, the grapheme may be triggering something in the student's brain, in the speaker's brain, but what we're trying to look forward over here is to really see what phonemes we need to produce, you know. So in this following part, I'm going to invite you to really pay attention. We're going to have some videos and extra explanations and other alternatives to approach these alternations we have in both Spanish and English. Let's pay attention. It's time to see what are the differences between one phoneme and the other. We're gonna pay attention to the following videos. I'm gonna show you a video of an English native speaker. Pay close attention on the way, number one, she moves her lips. She moves her lips. Number two, she moves her tongue every time you have a chance to see it. And how she also uses her teeth to create one sound and the other. So let's get started. B and V.
Button, bus, broken, blue, box. Vampire, violin, vending, vase, vacation. Button, bus, broken, blue, box. Vampire, violin, vending, vase, vacation.
Did you see the difference? Yes, right? But what happens with us Honduran speakers? I have a set of words on the screen now, and I want you to slightly touch your lips. Are you touching your lips? So let's start saying all of them. How do your lips move? Do they fold when we say bienestar or bondad? Do they really fold? Do we touch our lower lip with our teeth when we say vaca, vivienda, violin? From now and then, I'm going to ask you to pay attention, okay? Because you'll see how much it changes, right? I bet many of you noticed that. Let's move on. Let's focus now on sa and za, okay? These two independent phonemes in English. In the first video, you're gonna see sa and its alternations as sha, za, and za, okay? And in the second one, we're gonna have only za, okay?
Surprise, sword, snowman. Television, glasses, Sean. Zoom, Zumba, zebra, zipper. Surprise, sword, snowman. Television, glasses, Sean. Zoom, Zumba, zebra, zipper.
Any difference? Yes, it is. But what happens to us, Honduran Spanish speakers? Zapato, sapo, señora, céntimo, niños, hospitales, espada, acera. How many of you say hospital? I say it. Espada, I say it. So this is regular, guys. The point over here that this is completely natural. This is native Honduran Spanish. Let's give it a try again. Did you finish? How do you pronounce these sounds? The same, right? And in some cases, as many of you know, some Hondurans, at the end of words, especially for plurals, as niños or hospitales, you know, they might omit the last letter. And that's very common as well for the type of Spanish we speak. Now we have ja and ya. And again, guys, I'm gonna remind you that you have to pay attention to the way she articulates, the way she moves her tongue, especially in these two. You're gonna see that the way her tongue moves when she does ja is not the way that she moves her tongue when she does ya.
Jacket, James, juice, Jim, jewel. Yes, youth, yolks, yogurt, yellow. Jacket, James, juice, Jim, jewel. Yes, youth, yolks, yogurt, yellow.
Did you see it? Yes, right. Ja. She touched her hard palate with the tip of her tongue, while with ya, there's slightly a little space over there. Okay, and that's why this symbol ya, it's called an approximant, because they don't really touch the palate, but they're pretty nearby. What about us? Take your time, read the following words. It is very curious, not only for Spanish but also for Italian, that the word pollo, okay, pollo changes, you know. It's not the word. Of course it is the sound that I'm talking about. For some people it might sound like pollo, pollo, a little more approximate, you know. It can sound like a diphthong, pollo, okay, po-i-o, okay. But it can also sound like an approximant, pollo, okay? And the back of my tongue is slightly touching my hard palate, okay? But what about this is one that is very, very popular. Let's talk about tortillas con quesillo. How do you guys say it? I was talking to my colleagues, you know, Honduran colleagues, and some of them, they say like, it is quesillo, quesillo, you know. But for some of them, it might be quesillo. To me, again, it is this small, you know, this soft approximate quesillo. That's the way that I say it. But let me tell you, my grandmother used to say that LL should be pronounced as hard as possible. So for her, it'll be like quesillo, you know? That's the way she learned. So we can tell that these two sounds can be troublemakers for us. So what happens, guys? Our brain, as Honduran Spanish speakers, is constantly mixing or varying from one sound to the other. So it can happen that our students, instead of saying project, they might say project. Instead of saying vowel, they might be saying vowel. Okay? And these two, I'm gonna be honest, I've committed that mistake many, many times in front of other English speakers. And I've even had colleagues laughing at me because it's just my brain, you know, it's my Spanish jumping and and taking, taking over my English. So be careful with it, okay? Make sure students produce that hard, affricate sound, project, j, project, okay? Vowel. We need to feel that vibration over there, okay? Vowel. And that means that we have to teach them to really articulate and make sure that they feel how their teeth touch their lower lip, okay? Another very, very important thing over here is that, as I told you, b and v are attested independent phonemes in English. That's why our students have to make sure whenever they pronounce boat, vote. I have box over here again because if you remember the videos I showed you already, or native speaker, she folded her lips completely, right, to produce box. Because besides being a voiced bilabial, it is also what? A plosive. That's why it has to be box. So we feel that puff of air, okay? Teaching our students, for example, that to follow, to look forward, listening to that, looking forward to listening to that explosion over there, box could be a good way to teach them. It could also happen, as I told you, that letter S will be kind of in danger, because of all the variation we have in Spanish. As I told you, sa, ha, or nul, right? So it means that we might find students who don't produce completely letter S at the end of words. So I'm giving you some examples based on verbs for the third person singular. But it could also happen, as you can see over here, what if our students, instead of reading Aspen in Colorado, okay, they say Aspen, right? Okay. And with, as I told you, with Y, what's the problem with Y? Because we also alternate different sounds. Ja, ya, ja, okay? YouTube. Music, another sound. Music. Zumba. Zumba. Make sure your students achieve that vibration. Zumba, okay? So we have to get used to it, And this last one, center, but honestly, it's just like a last example. But I think if we really want to start working on it, it's avoiding, as I'm writing over here, false or negative transferences, okay? We don't want to transfer the characteristics of the phonology of Honduran Spanish, okay? We're just trying to learn the phonology of English, okay, in this case. So it's time to conclude over here, okay? So these are the some points that I want you to keep in mind. Free alternations are difficult to predict. Therefore, Honduran speakers should get more acquainted with the phonemic inventory of English. As I'm telling you, it is very difficult to say in what moment our students are gonna say you are, okay? We don't really know when that's gonna happen, or if our students are gonna say joggered, for example. And that's incorrect. We have to motivate our students to really understand that every time they see the grapheme Y, they should be producing the glide yeah, you, okay? Yellow, all right? And for the English allophones, the bright side, let's always take a look to the bright side, guys, is the fact that there are rules that explain us when these allophones occur, okay? in what contexts, in what phonological contexts they can happen, and in what ways we can approach this different sounds in our classroom, okay? Creative phonological awareness should go in hand with orthographic awareness and or articulatory awareness. What does it mean, people? Let's pay attention over here. Please do not rely only on the acoustic ability, or the listening skills of your students. Not all students have exactly the same listening skills. Not all students are the same proficient for listening or discriminating these little differences. That's why we have to provide them with orthographic cues, number one, and number two, to provide them with articulatory cues. Just the way I was showing you today, let's pay attention to the way native speakers move their mouth, how they move their tongue, and we can also come up with maybe charts and other type of materials that can help us. Final notes, right? Well, final notes. The first thing to consider over here is to be patient, guys. What I've shared with you today is based on two things. My own research. I've been doing research especially on the sa sound of Honduran Spanish. And as I was telling you during the presentation, believe it or not, yes, all Hondurans aspirate this particular sound. It doesn't matter if it is represented with the S grapheme. It doesn't matter if it is represented with the Z grapheme. It doesn't matter if it is represented with the C grapheme. We all aspirate it. Maybe, I'm not sure yet because I haven't finished my project, my investigation. Maybe according to the region from one person or the other, this aspiration could be, more extreme or noticeable, while from others, this might be like soft, and difficult to really identify. However, as I'm telling you, all of us, all Hondurans, tend to aspirate this particular sound, okay? And the second thing is that I've experienced most of these things. In my case, I've been working mostly with syntacticians and phonologists. So these people aren't language teachers. So they have been, they're my colleagues, but they have told me straightforward, I don't think you're pronouncing B the right way, they say. And I go like, it's because in my dialect we don't really have it, Also, I remember once I was talking to different, I was with this group of both international students and native students. And I was like, so who of you are going to the Zumba classes? And they were like, huh? Where? Yes, we need to make sure we know those minimal pairs and we come up with the right pronunciation. Even with my last name, every time I had to do like any administrative thing or I had to make a phone call, I needed to say Zavala so beautifully. If not, my my last name would be like a mess, So those are little things that even though like in our context as Honduran speakers, we don't really see, if we are projecting, okay, we are looking forward to spreading, right? Or boundaries, with other students, with other countries, we gotta be ready with this. And now, of course, as I was telling you in the introduction, it is very, very important that we consider the different professions of our students. For you and I, my dear colleague, we are language teachers. We don't have any other choice. We gotta look for that intelligible accent, right? We want people to understand what we're saying, but it might happen like even for students that work with mass media and communication, they need it even more than us, right? Because that's an accent, a good accent is part of their image. It could happen also for other educators who are looking forward building a profession out of out of the country, you know, or simply having exchanges, right? Inner cultural, inner linguistic experiences. And lastly, I gotta make an important disclaimer over here, a sociolinguistic disclaimer. Why? At any point, I'm trying to tell you Honduran Spanish is wrong. No. At any time, I'm trying to say we had to change it. We had to change the way we speak Spanish. No, again. All right. What we're trying to do over here, guys, is to create awareness on our beautiful dialect and the ways we can speak English. Okay. So I want you to bear that in mind. Just allow your students, especially if they're in basic levels, let's try to focus on mnemonics, you know, so they can build up their awareness based on cues, based on articulatory properties, and little by little, as they gain experience with the target language, we can start building up more awareness, as I told you, based on their listening skills, based on articulatory properties, based on orthographic properties, and even meta language. Okay, so it was my pleasure sharing with you. Those are the last things that I wanted to share with you. I'm gonna leave over here a link, okay, for you to take a look to this presentation, and also to have access to my email address, so you can send me any email with any possible question you may have. So again, thank you very much. And Honduras, please, let's spread the love. I know together we can do even better day by day. Bye bye.